Facebook Live. This is the Self-Love Coach Live. I am Stephanie Burton and welcome to today. It is episode 10 and today we're going to be talking about a really sticky subject called lifting the lid on the law of attraction. You have probably seen stuff about the law of attraction left, right and center on your Facebook and social media feed. There is so much information out there. And you know what I'm going to say, if there's a lot of information out there, there is also a lot of misinformation out there. So one of the reasons I deal with the law of attraction, not because I teach it directly, but I'm often, when I'm dealing with my clients, at the receiving end of their law of attraction adventures not really working out. So in a roundabout way, I've come to know the law of attraction quite well, and also, more than anything else, I've had to deal with and learn about why, well, for a lot of people, it really doesn't work. And then the next big question, why doesn't it work? Because we all absolutely know that when you focus on something, you have a much, much higher likelihood of achieving that thing if you don't focus on it. But here's the big problem is there are mechanics behind the scene in that. It's like a really intricate little machine, if you like, that when you don't understand how it works, then you really can't manage and plan for when it doesn't work. So what I need to do today is two parts. In first part, I first need to just kind of go into the I don't know what we could call it, the reality of what happens in your life and in your mind. That's the first part. And then I'm going to go through the 5 big issues about why the law of attraction doesn't work or hasn't worked for you yet. Okay, so in this first part, I'm going to talk about the difference between reality and actuality. So I'm going to use my trusty whiteboard for this. And I'm going to introduce to you 2 concepts that you've probably not really heard about all that much, unless you've done some of the DeMartini work. Also, Byron Katie talks about it a lot. And certainly all the people that talk about ego and the people that talk about choosing love over fear are talking about indirectly, but they haven't really laid it out for you yet. So there are 2 different energies running your system at the moment. And I'm sure you've heard about this before in a really lovely way, where lots of people have told you you are both a human being, an animus system, and a spiritual being at the same time. And that's why 2 different systems are running your life. Thank you. Somebody said I look fab in fuchsia. Fuchsia is my favorite color. So the 2 different systems running your life and your being and your existence are the animus, the animal side of you, that's the physical side of you, the mind part of you, and then there is the spiritual side, the heart side, the soul side of you. And that's where this whole business of the law of attraction gets into muddy waters, because actually they don't really talk about making it applicable to both systems. So you have the spirit system, and I'm going to use a different color, and you have the human system. I hope you can see all of this. Great. A lot of the times when we talk about the spirit side of things, we also talk about love, eternal love, or a heart-based system. Also, when we talk about the human side of things, because it's the physical side of things, a lot of people talk about the fear-based system or the ego-based system, which is basically the part of your mind that tries to keep you safe. That's the ego side. And I'm not part of that whole camp that goes ego bashing at all. I think the ego is a very, very important, useful part of who you are. It's the bit that got really developed as a child when you learn to not cross the road without looking left or right, to not touch hot fires. The ego is basically there to keep you safe. But you get into trouble if you think that the ego is the only thing running your system. And that's what I teach is most of the people live in their heads, they live in their ego part into only the human part, and as a result they haven't yet connected to this part, the spirit part of who they are, the love part, the heart part. So the way that you need to understand the difference between the two of these is that one is your version of reality. The other side, the spirit side, the love, the heart side, is what especially Dr. Demartini calls it actuality. Hope my spelling is good today. So, being human means that you need to get used to operating on two different systems at the same time. So the way that I usually explain it to my clients is, imagine that you're watching TV and you're also looking at the laptop on your lap. So the one screen shows you what is actually going on, actuality, and the screen right in front of you, which is the nearest to you, which is the most real to you, is your reality. But here's the big problem, is that this thing, your ego, which is your mind, filters this part. And so as a result, this will never, ever, ever be the truth. I know, that's a bit of a shocker, right? But because it is constantly being filtered through your experiences, through your past, your pain, your traumas, this is your very, very own version of life. And therefore, as you look at the laptop, the screen closest to you, it is your version of what is going on. Where actually life in the background of who you are is going on all the time, whether you like it or not, whether you jump up and down or not, whether you think happy thoughts or not, or miserable thoughts or not. Actuality is always in action at all times. You can't chip it. You can't trust. You can't, trust me, you can't break it. Humans have a filter on reality, but the universe, the earth in the background is just going to carry on regardless. So I want you to think about actuality being represented by this gorgeous yin and yang sign. I'm sure you've all seen it before, where the one side is dark, the other side is light. I'm not so good at coloring in, so I'm going to do this as good as I can. No. You've seen this sign many, many times before. What it actually tells you, and what a lot of people don't know, is that actuality means that at any actual point in time, there are equal good things going on, and there are equal bad things going on. But here's the interesting thing, because your mind cannot see this until it's learned to see it, it will tell you all the time that either, I'm sure you can see this if I move over, it tells you that life is either or. So what it tells you is all the time, because it can only filter, that your mind tells you things are either bad or good. So this is the huge difference between actuality, life, the universe, everything going on in the background, and your reality, because your laptop, your reality right in front of you is constantly going to tell you this is good, this is bad, this is good, this is bad, for a very good reason, because it's an expression of who you are as a human. But in the background, the universe is already always perfectly in balance at any point in time. Here's how that relates to the law of attraction. So when people say, this is one of my big bugbears, when people say, I had a client, a lady that came to me, and she was absolutely terrified of negative thinking, because she said, no, I read all those books and they said that if you think negatively, then bad things are going to happen to you, and then I'm going to get sick and everything's going to go bad. So whoa. Of course, there is no question that stress can contribute to an unhealthy life, and it's also disease. We know stress has an element input in disease, but the idea that with your singular mind you can affect the actuality, the greater universe out there, is just not true. But what is true is that as you get out of this dualistic fascination that things are either good or bad, and as you come into that middle point and understanding that everything, you, every event, every person, every experience will always have equal benefit and drawback, equal challenge and support. Actually, the real point of law of attraction is, I don't know if you can see it, let me draw it in red, is that middle dot here. That middle dot is the middle part between your head, your ego, and your heart, your soul. That middle bit, that middle spot is the sweet spot where creation, attraction, resilience, creativity, all of those juicy things, all of those people that talk about being in flow, is not always being in the light. It's not always being in the high of the infatuation. And everything is amazing because, interestingly, the high of infatuation is as damaging to your body as the low of resentment. Think about when you first met your sweetheart. It was like, oh my God, I'm so excited. You couldn't eat, you couldn't sleep, you couldn't think. That is a sign of stress in your body because you're not in balance. You're too high in the experience. Likewise with resentment. When you get deep into depression, can't eat, can't sleep, can't think, that is a sign of stress in your body. But can you see how infatuation, believing that things only have light, and resentment, things believing that things are only dark, cause the same amount of stress in your system? And the true point of attraction only happens when you are in a middle position of understanding light equals dark at any point in time. Inside of you, outside of you, within everybody around you, and every experience. Okay. This is a very quick run through to the basic laws of how the universe works. So let's get around to the second bit. I hope that makes sense. Give me some hearts or some love that I know you're understanding what I'm saying. Because this is definitely not basic entry level personal development. This is the higher realms, the ninja skills. So let's go out of this. And if you have any questions about the law of attraction or how the universe, does that make sense? That there's actually two. This is why people talk about co-creation. Of course, if you are always focusing on the negative, you are always going to find the negative. That doesn't mean you are creating the negative. It just means that you're always going to find the negative. But as soon as you open your mind to the positive and the light, it's going to be right there. I often explain this in a way that you really need to imagine that you're swimming in a swimming pool that has a shady bit and a light bit. As soon as you go into the light bit and it gets too hot, swim over to the shady side. As soon as you're in the shady side and it gets too cold, swim over the light side. You constantly need to be managing your mind in order for your head and heart to keep that connection. Because your head is programmed to tell you that it's either good or bad, that it's either up or down. But it's not as simple as that, because there is another level, and it's the actuality of what always goes on in the background. The universe already knows what it's doing. But you create your reality by tuning into either the light side or the dark side, where actuality, they both exist at the same time. All right. Here is my 5 biggest law of attraction bloopers, if you like, and why the law of attraction often and for most people just doesn't work. Okay, so we're going to go and relate it back to what I just said, and that is if you are not in a state of balance. So I'm going to give you one example. I had a lady come to me and she said, I really, really, really want to be in a relationship. Why? I've made the vision board. I have pasted it. I have put it all over my fridge. I've put it all over my mirror. Why on earth is it not working? So the first thing said, usually 9 out of 10 times it's because you're not in the law of attraction sweet spot. And that sweet spot is, of course, where yin equals yang. I'm not going to color it in again. But unless you are clear that being in a relationship has as many upsides as it has downsides, there is no way that you can hit the sweet spot until you are clear that being in a relationship is as good as it is bad. Full stop. So that's the first point. If you are in a place of infatuation about the goal you want to achieve and going, oh, it's only going to be great when I get there, everything is perfect. Absolutely nothing is going to happen. With this particular client, that's exactly what we did. We wrote a great big list about what would be the downside of being in a relationship. And she said, oh, I don't want to go there. I don't want to think about the downside because all those law of attraction books have said if I think about the downside, it will never come to me. I said, look, please just trust me on this. We wrote a great big whopping list of the downsides of relationships and being in a relationship. And guess what? Several weeks later, because she was not in a state of needing, in a state of victim anymore, hey presto, relationship walked into her life. Very interesting, isn't it? So number one is, are you sure that the thing you want to attract, you are in a complete state of balance about? Because nothing comes without a price, and unless you are aware and willing to pay the price, it cannot enter into your life. Alrighty. Number two. I'm going to rush through these. Okay. Number two. I don't know where that went. Number two is you are not in a congruent belief. So a lot of people do this law of attraction and they go to vision board workshops. I can never say that. Vision board workshops. Write beautiful things on beautiful boards, but if it is not congruent with your inner belief, absolutely nothing is going to happen. So if you say to the universe, I want a relationship, I want a business, I want X, Y, Z, and your inner belief says, I'm not good enough, I'm not worthy, absolutely nothing is going to happen. This is why self-love, self-belief has a huge it's just a cornerstone of this whole law of attraction business. It makes absolute sense. Why would the universe give something to you if you say, well, I really want that relationship, but I'm not really sure what I bring to it, and actually I'm quite fat and ugly and it's terrible. Is never ever going to work. So number one was if you're in a state of infatuation. Number two, if the inner system doesn't reflect the outer. And this is not just about thinking happy, good thoughts. It's not at all. You can think as many happy, good thoughts as you like. If your inside energy doesn't, and it's like, I'm not talking about the surface stuff, the deeper core stuff of who you believe you are is not congruent with what you want to attract on the outside. Yep, it's not going to work. All right. Moving on swiftly to number 3. How you doing, guys? Are you still with me? I know this is a bit shocking because so many books and workshops and gurus have told you that you just need to think happy thoughts. And that is lovely and mostly true, but not completely the whole story. Okay, number 3, you are not taking any aligned action. I have been on so many vision board workshops where people have stuck the most ridiculous stuff on their papers. Honestly, Ferraris, money falling out of the sky, losing God knows how many pounds. And then they never signed up to the gym and they never started really getting a concept on how to build a business. And they never ever got into a place of really getting down to who they are and the gift that they were born with to share with the world. So if there is no aligned action, because remember law of attraction, it has the word action in its word. That should be a pretty big giveaway to you. Right, number 4. Number 4 is it is not congruent and energetically in line with who you truly are. Every single person is born with a unique set of values, with a unique system of expression. You are different to me, and my expression of my greatness is completely different than yours. Again, on these vision board workshops, I had a client lady, she came to me, and she brought me this vision board, and she said, oh, I really want to be this amazing speaker on stage, and yeah, I want to be out there, and I want to be spreading my message. And I said, okay, great. I will not shoot you down. I said, okay, so have you done any public speaking in the past? No, I actually really quite dislike being in front of the people. I'm like, have you been around any great crowd of people? No, not really. I prefer the one-to-one. I'm like, okay, so show me anything in your life that is congruent with this vision and this dream you have. And she says, well, not really. I just really wanted to get my voice out there. I said, oh my goodness, this is where personal development goes and does a great big disservice to you, because it sells you this idea that we all need to be these gurus and that we all need to be speakers. I said, why don't we get in touch with who you really are and how you would ideally and perfectly for you spread that message? She said, yeah, that makes a lot more sense, because she had 4 children. I said, a speaking career, it's not impossible, but you would need help getting there. She said, actually, my real dream is that I want to write children's books and then introduce them to the mummy groups that I'm with. I'm like, jackpot, bingo, this is aligned with who you truly are. But this is where a lot of people put stuff on their vision boards because they think that that's what they should be doing, and should is a big, big giveaway word that you're living outside your values and you're trying to be something that you are not. As soon as she started talking about who she would love to be and what she would love to do, her whole physiology changed. And guess what? As we identified it, she immediately sprung into action the next day and started writing the manuscript. So number 4 is that it's not aligned with who you truly are. So many people are chasing these ridiculous pipe dreams, because personal development has somewhere along the line given them this absolute bogus idea of what success looks like. Success is what is success for you, and your blueprint is already within you. What you need to do is get in touch with that blueprint and then set goals and visions and dreams in line with who you truly are. Okay, and then number 5, and this comes up all the time, is timing. I had a lady come and she said, gosh, I've been trying to attract a relationship for years and years and years now. What's going wrong? I have it on my phone, on my desktop, on my laptop. I have things stuck on my window. I have things stuck everywhere. I'm like, we went through all of the 4 things, and she was doing all the right things. She was not infatuated. She was, she was really congruent on the inside, self-worth, self-belief, everything was on track. Number 3, she was really taking aligned action. She was out there, she was dating. And then number 4, also, it was truly in her value systems. She really wanted, and there was space in her life. She'd done all the work. And I said, look, usually then when we've checked out in all these 4 points, timing, because the universe has timing that it knows something better than you know. So many people come to me and said, oh, I've tried to build a business for years and years and years, and then only this year it kind of aligned itself. We don't know enough as human beings. We don't have a, Facebook Messenger connection to God, the universe, whatever you believe in. There is a timing to things. Obviously, the people that believe in astrology will tell you that there's a very specific timing, both to us as a collective and to you as an individual. So timing. So we also need to go look at, why is it right, for instance, that right now you are not in a relationship? And she said, well, right now it's really the time to build a business. I really need to concentrate on building a business, because in previous relationships I've always given up on myself, and so really it's time that I need to focus on myself and first do this, because pretty much I can tell you, if there's a relationship now, I'll ditch it all. I'm like, well, there's your answer. So those are the 5 big things that are holding people back from making the law of attraction work. And if you have any more questions about this, please tell me in the comments below. I would love to make this more relevant to you. In the beginning of this video, if you just joined me now, have a look right at the beginning. I said something very, very important about the difference between actuality and reality. And actually, as a human being, you're managing both sides, both the head and the heart. And if that connection between your head and the heart are not established, for many human beings, they've never had their head and their heart connected. That is something you need to learn how to do, and something I teach on my courses, on my workshops, and in one-to-one. Because actually there's two systems. There's a human system and a soul system, head and heart, and you need to be able to manage both, because both are part of getting what you want and really achieving your dreams and your goals. And that is all for me for today. On my personal Facebook profile here, I talk about what is self-love. On my business page, Project Glow, go have a look over there. I go more into detail on how to actually achieve self-love, because you know that's a big, big bugbear of mine. So many people out there are talking about this is self-love, this is self-love, this is how to self-love, but nobody gets down to the nitty-gritty of what do you need to actually do, because self-love has a science, a structure, and a sequence, and unless you've been taught how to do it, you will never, never understand. And the problem with both things like this law of attraction and all the misconceptions that you read on social media about self-love is you try to do it, and because you don't know how to do it, you end up failing, and then usually 9 out of 10 times you start blaming yourself. And that's why I often talk about the law of attraction. If it doesn't work, it doesn't mean that you're not doing it right or you're crap at it. It has a multitude of factors that are just not as easy as black and white. But because as humans, and most people are stuck in their human element, in their mind, in their ego, they immediately want to describe the world as either good or bad. And so a lot of the times what happens is you'll get into this, well, you know, if bad things are happening to you, that means you must have had bad thoughts. Absolutely baloney, absolutely baloney. You are co-creating your life all the time. There are bigger stories out there, and if you truly believe that only your thinking causes bad events, then you're really not in touch of how the universe really works. Challenges come to us to grow us. They're not there telling you that you've done something wrong, that you're thinking only bad. I mean, have you ever tried only having good thoughts? It is impossible. It is impossible. Not because you're crap at it, because your mind is designed for light and dark at the same time. And that is all for me for today. I look forward to seeing you this Sunday. On Sunday night, I do an hour-long special. This Sunday on Project Glow, we're doing how to not compare yourself with other people, especially on social media. So I'll get into the nitty-gritty of how you can actually manage to not compare yourself to others and just keep your mind focused on your own vision, purpose, and goals. And that is all from me for today. Thank you so much for being with me here, and I will see you soon. Bye.